Sergeant's work is officers tell you what to do, and then they just look at the sergeant's work, and the sergeant's running around, and I think that like explains it very well. How like the sergeant sees everything and does a little bit of everything.
The backbone.
Yeah, it's like the bridge between the officer and the ordinary rifleman.
Well, if you look at the military structure, it's nothing else but a business.
My call sign is Fixer. I'm Alpha Company Sergeant. I'm in charge of seeing that things work. I do a little bit of everything, but mainly in charge of discipline, seeing that the guys have everything for mission, and also try to get everything what the company needs to do a proper work.
Hello, my call sign is Frodo. I am the deputy commander of the 3rd International Battalion Azov. My responsibilities are to literally work with personnel, make sure their motivation is up, punish them, and reward good behavior. So that's what I am trying to do because it's not easy.
But also yesterday was when we were at the Azov birthday. It's like it reminds me of my old promotion work.
Mm.
I'm working with customers, and you're promoting a product, you're promoting a cause. Like the product is the unit and what the unit is fighting for, and you try to tell people why it's important, and they are curious about this product that they've seen before, and then you like try to persuade them, to signing a contract, lure them in with a PKM on the table and 2 cool rifles, and then everybody has pistols on the sides, and then you show like, oh, this is the Finnish Savotta plate carrier, and this is a Finnish helmet. Yeah, we have NVGs and all of that, and then like slowly start taking them inside the system, and suddenly they have a contract, and then they are like me, who was supposed to do fundraising and goes on missions suddenly. So I think more like being among the people is very good, like we did yesterday.
Yeah, I think you never stop working with people. People are everywhere.
Yeah, no, it's like
It's depressing.
I start to hate and love people more every time. Or like the more it's so natural to work with people. Like in my current role, it's like okay, we get these questions all the time, like signal, like bang, and then you have like 100 conversations in 5 minutes, and you're like okay, trying to coordinate everything, try to answer every problem or solve every problem, and try to coordinate all these people and get everything that is needed, and then you just like drive around in the Nissan like around the neighborhood, like going pick up one thing, taking this other guy because he doesn't have a driver's license or can't even drive a car, and then take him there because you need him to do one thing, and then you coordinate everything. And I think like sergeant's work is officers tell you what to do, and then they just look at the sergeant's work, and the sergeant's running around, and I think that like explains it very well. How like the sergeant sees everything and does a little bit of everything.
The backbone.
Yeah, it's like the bridge between the officer and the ordinary rifleman.
Well, if you look at the military structure, it's nothing else but a business. There is workers, there is people, managers that manage the processes that are happening, and there's people in charge that give the task and observe.
And in general also, I noticed this, that a lot of people from, for example, the humanitarian sector. So I come from a humanitarian background myself. I worked in a bank, I worked with promotions, I worked with sales. And then suddenly I have a military contract, and there's, everybody who lives in Kyiv, of course, where it's like the support roles. But then there's the battalion, where the battalion is placed, and then where the company itself is placed, and where the guys are like, who do the regular infantryman training. And then it's like all these different sections like have to talk to each other, understand like what does the corps want, the brigade wants, the battalion wants, how does the battalion communicate to the company inside itself to the people, does everybody know what's going on, how do you get one task like going down, and then the company is like, okay, we got this task, we're gonna do this, and then inside the company you're gonna be like company commander with his 2IC, like to the leadership, and then take the team leaders, and then it goes down to the team leaders, like, okay, we got this task, this is we're gonna ask everything what we can from the company, and now we're gonna like do this task that we were given, and then the company goes in one big role, and there we come like, that's basically like the CEO down through the whole company structure. And in the end, everything is about managing people and leading by example. Like if you ask guys to do one thing, but you're not good at it yourself, or you don't follow what you're saying, people see through it immediately.
Yeah.
And that's like the leadership role. But then the managing people is like, how well can you administrate everything that you need to do? Like everything from ammo counts to how many people are where, how many are on vacation, who is wounded in hospital, what if somebody gets wounded on mission, and all of this is like the management, people management and leadership together. Like if you manage those two, like you can have a very successful company when it comes to organizing things. If you want to support the guys doing the work, going on missions, doing the combat, remember to donate. It's very easy, even for foreigners and both Ukrainians. Remember to like and subscribe to STRUM and spread the message of the cause.
Like in my civilian life, I was an aircraft mechanic.
When were you even a civilian?
For 2 years. So after my service in US, after I finished the contract, I went to civilian life, and I was an aircraft mechanic. So I just come to work, look at a computer would tell me exactly what I need to do. So I was like just sitting there, my headphones on, twisting wrenches, taking things apart.
The meetings that are like portrayed as meetings, but in the end it could be an email. And that's like the worst. That's the most useless thing on how to use time. Like people who are doing a lot already, have a lot of tasks, and then you're asked to go somewhere, like then it's like 5 minutes of nothingness, and then you're like, okay, why? Like why?
If you have a meeting to pass information that can be in a message or an email, then the meeting is useless. If you have a meeting just to pass down information, just text it.
Exactly.
Send the email. Why do you have to pull down 5-10 people just to sit at the table and tell them what to do?
This is like the office syndrome, where everything is so like it's more important about the rules and like that there is a meeting about the meeting, when instead you could just say like how things are. And it's like, and I noticed this when working with people from other cultures. I don't know if it's like my persona or if it's just me being very Finnish, but I worked with previously also in a political organization like long time ago, and I remember like working with other cultures, like me and then one Swede. We work well together because we're like, there's no like small talk, none of this. It's like just straight to the point, and it makes things so easy. But then when you work with like from other cultures, it's like people go around the problem. They cannot tell you like, hey, this is the problem, I need you to do this. They get offended if you do it. But then
the Japanese or something.
But then it's like, if the more time we use for trying to read between the lines, the harder it's to do the job.
The more time we waste trying to figure
it's
out
like,
what the problem is.
Tell me what you need, tell me what is the problem, I will solve it. It's like so simple. But then everybody don't understand this. I don't know if this is like me being very Finnish again, but I just feel like it's like common sense to do it like that. But
different cultures.
Yes.
Communication.
Yes.
People. Working with people. Is difficult.
But the one funny thing is that I noticed coming from like the NGO sector is how many people have now been like recruited into the army or somehow into the defense sector, because like they're the people who manage a lot of things. They know the soldiers, they know what is needed, they do their research about why something is needed, they manage an organization, like also the whole admin side of it, and people like the logistics. But sometimes when I talk with people, like they're like, oh, in the army, like you go into this mystical place like Narnia or something. But in the end, it's the same personas. Like if you have personality problem, it doesn't matter if you're in the army or if you're in a company, like private company, you're still gonna be a problem. And it's like it's the same rules. Like, are you able to work in a team?
Mm-hmm.
Are you able to lead? Are you able to organize? Do you do your tasks at last minute? Are you always late? All of this is like same rules everywhere. It's like same human nature. Like where there are people, there are problems. Where people work together, they get shit done. Oh, no swearing.
Yeah, I think it's just the stereotype of military that people get like from watching movies.
Mm.
You know, they look, they watch a movie about like militaries abroad. They, you know, go there, you get yelled at, you get squared away, you're doing great, and then you become a soldier and you just do what you're told, like you turn your brain off, and everything is done by the structure.
Mm.
But in reality, it's not like that. Like you are making what military is.
Mm.
You bringing your old habits, bad habits, good habits, and you are making that unit. Like the previous guys that were there in that unit, they might be, you know, moved, passed away, wherever. They're not there. You are making what it is right now.
Mm.
And they say, oh, but this is like, I was here to get like molded into the old image of what this is. Like you are making it. You are it.
Mm. Yeah, and it's like also when we chose team leaders. Also, what I noticed like about the team leaders is that the team lead needs to lead by example. If he wants something done, he needs to also do his own part. And what kind of persona the team leader has like reflects his whole team's behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Like if the team leader is lazy, it means that he's not doing his task or not preparing properly. Then that shows also in the whole how the whole team prepares.
Absolutely.
But how, for example, we have one good example is now we have a new fresh team leader who's young.
Mm-hmm.
He's aggressive in a good way, and I told him like why we're choosing you as a team leader is because your team will look like you,
Yeah.
and this is what we need. We need you to bring out this aggressiveness from the others. That when you get the mission where you actually need the most, and that moment, I know you are the right guy to prepare them for that.
Mm-hmm.
That when you need to go in, and when you need to attack, like I know you are the right guy for the job, and so will be your team.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're like they have like their own cult thing going on or something.
It's a personality, leading by personality. Somebody is hyperactive, has a strong opinion. People will follow if they don't have their own opinion. So there's no conflict of like, oh, this guy is doing all this and this stuff, and then if you put in the same team another person that is, you know, same, there's gonna be a conflict of personalities, and that makes it difficult. At that point, if these two personalities don't get along, there's gonna be a breakdown. So their teams, they should be like, if you find a personality, usually people follow personalities. Like, I don't want to segregate anybody, but people are built different. Like there's personalities that can lead, there's personalities that don't like to lead, they like themselves or something like that.
Yeah, and also then we have also what I noticed is there is this people that are like very leveled.
Mm-hmm.
They have this like officer vibe
Mm-hmm.
that they are very leveled, very calm all the time, and it's like they get the job done in the same way as everybody else. They do a good job, but then like what you said about personas,
Mm-hmm.
is like when there is somebody that is charismatic, you know, he just says the right things and in a way with such confidence, and people are like, that's the guy I want to follow.
Yeah, he knows what he's saying.
Anyway, even if like everybody does equally like a good job, if you only look at the result. And then like, for example, when it comes to like respect, it's also about leading by example, and then that also reflects on discipline, because there are some people that, not that you would want to disappoint anybody, but some people like you, if you have huge respect for somebody and that person thinks you're doing a bad job, for example, if you weren't disciplined or like you did something wrong at your job, and then you're like, shit, like I let this guy down, like, and I admire this guy, or like I have respect for him because he does a good job, and I follow this guy, and then that also like generates what kind of culture you have inside the team, about like you know, when you're supposed to be strict, and when you can, you know, let loose. For example, work is work, but then free time is free time, and you don't like mix them together. And this I noticed especially what I learned from my own team leaders, and also being team leader myself, is when there's infill and exfil.
Mm-hmm.
Like I had moments when I had to be very strict, but it's also the situation required it. It's
Yep.
just like, get up, we have to go now, we're not coming back, like we are soon there, so
Have your
just
stuff ready,
yeah,
be squared away.
yeah. And then you know, then the free time is like, that person doesn't exist anymore, I'm like myself.
Mm-hmm.
But then also when it's in training, it's like, okay, hey, like, okay, like, you know, we said we do this and that, then we do it like this. And then you like have to find the right moments when to be strict, and they also understand it, that if you always try to be strict. Then, you know, there are people that are not really mad, but they try to portray them as mad,
Mm-hmm.
or they act in a way, and you always see it, at least I see it through all the time, and I'm like, okay, like you can talk to me like a normal person also. You don't have to do this to me, like just tell me, you know, what's up.
Yep. Being unapproachable.
Yeah.
When a person is strict all the time, doesn't it gives instructions, not guidance.
Mm.
He makes himself unapproachable,
Mm.
and then the personnel is just like, I don't want to tell him about my problems because he's gonna yell at me or he's gonna say that I'm dumb,
Mm.
and that makes a person unapproachable.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. And then if the people think like they cannot approach you,
Mm-hmm.
neither will they approach you with the problems, which
No,
can
never.
cause even more problems.
Never.
What if they come with like, hey, something very important like was forgotten or something, and then you're like, no, come on, man, why didn't you tell me this? And it's a two-way street, of course, because what I learned, especially as a team leader and from having team leaders, is they're like, your team leader can be strict with you,
Mm-hmm.
but a good team leader will also fight for you if somebody's doing something wrong.
Yep.
So, for example, for what the team needs to do a mission,
Mm-hmm.
if there's something about the rights of, you know, your team members, like if everything when it comes to like maybe getting a well-earned vacation after a mission, like all these things that he fights for you as your leader, but also requires you to be a solid team member. And I think that's like the one guy told me this, that if he has to choose between, you know, the most talented soldier who knows everything about everything, and somebody that is not as talented as him, but his persona is better, he will choose the guy with the better personality.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, this also requires that the guy is trainable. Like, this ain't rocket science, you know. And then the personalities matter so much, because if you like, somebody knows how to shoot all the time in the tens in the marksmanship, and he is the fastest, like, you know, reactionary shooter, and he's so good at throwing grenades and everything, but like if he's a pain in the ass all the time, otherwise it's like it doesn't work. Like, that's also about adding stress to your own environment in free time and work. So it's, you really have to create like this good culture of respect and leading by example.
Why is Azov fixer?
Why Azov?
Yeah.
I got this question yesterday also at the stand,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't have like one proper answer. I had a story, but to make it easy, I think Azov is just such a great symbol of fighting for the survival of a nation,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to be part of that fight for the survival of the Ukrainian nation. And also in 2014 and 2015, everything that you saw about, you know, volunteer groups, and then it's like there comes Azov to support Ukraine in the most critical moment, and then how it stayed and developed to what it is now, and actually becoming something bigger and bigger all the time, while preserving standards in the military, preserving the cause, So it's not only about, it's not only about, okay, you're in a military unit. It's about the symbol of Azov, which is like defending whole Ukraine, and it's just it takes you with you. You want to be part of it, of the movement. Why you though?
I was drinking coffee with the right person at the right location. No, it's just at the moment I was in a different unit here in Ukraine. Yeah, we had a little of low time, but we were about to head back to east, and I was just drinking coffee with the person that was in Azov, and it's like, what are you doing? I'm doing this and that, like, come over here.
We were also drinking coffee, I think, me and you.
Yep.
Maybe.
We were like talking about like getting some equipment, cars for the battalion, and it's like, you guys doing this on your own, not getting paid here, like a lot of job, just
no, a lot of work, no pay.
Like, maybe we can help you somehow because you're helping us. So it was like trying to run something in my head, like maybe, I don't know, help you with something, and it was like, contract. Yeah, sign that.
I remember when in 22, and then I started all the humanitarian work, which then turned out to be like 4 years of humanitarian work helping soldiers. And my friend asked me, like, already in 22, like, oh, I thought, like, or commented, like, I thought you would go and like fight in Ukraine. I was like, I never even thought about it. And then 4 years later, or no, 3.5 years later, I'm like, why not? Like, why not do this? Why not? Okay, first of all, it was like, okay, let's do fundraising, because that's it's something that I worked with before. I think I'm good at it. But then I go to basic training, and like within a couple of days, I'm like, no, I know what I want to do, and I want to be with the guys that I met here. Yeah. I realized that if these guys can do the job, so can I. And then that moment when you're like, yes.
Yes, but this is not what we discussed prior to you joining.
Of course not.
It's like, okay, we have this great guy that's helping us, is doing a lot of volunteer work. He's helping us a lot, so we're trying to help him out, give him a contract. He's going to go to basic training, and then he's going to be inside the battalion working in that direction, just getting paid. And then you're like, oh, I want to go and be in the infantry. Like, Casper, Fixer, that's not what we talked about.
But it's also about, the urge to test yourself. Like, can you do this? And then when we finally went on the first mission, I remember the moment I was like, well, this is what I asked for. So let's do this. And then, when you capture Russian soldiers and you get all these trophies, you're actually part of liberating a village. There is nothing more amazing feeling than that.
Yeah.
It's like the best thing that I've done in my life. After my organization, of course, but still, like, that feeling of like being part of, like, you have your team is doing great, the company is doing great, the whole battalion is doing great in this one work of like liberating a village. It's so cool. And then you just like see the result. Okay, now this part of the map is green on deep state map. And then you're like, I was part of that. And then the missions after that, like, nothing has been the same. More like FPVs waiting for you, mines. Also, one of my team members was like, yeah, Casper, you stepped on a mine. I was like, no, I didn't. But then it was still unclear, like, was there a mine in the mud that I stepped on or not? But nothing happened. And it's, it's more about that. It's like you don't see. Well, of course, now there's the spring and the summer, so there's more activity. But still, I'm proud of my decision to rather go on missions than do fundraising. I mean, also like living.
Well, whatever floats your boat.
It's also so nice being in Donbas. It's like there's nothing better than being there.
It's an amazing place. Yeah, they should put it on travel locations in Ukraine.
Yes.
So then we can tell people like, your travel agent lied to you.
Yeah, send a postcard from Kramatorsk and Sloviansk, and yeah, it's nice places. So many memories. And then also, first time I was in Kramatorsk was 23 summer, like with my NGO. I meet all these Finnish volunteers in Kramatorsk, like the line hasn't moved in a long time in that sector where they were, and even go to Konstanivka and everything. And then we look at the situation now, and you're like, I'm very grateful for having the ability to be there when it was like not like what the situation is now. The amount of FPVs, and still some people live there thinking like, it's not so bad. Then you go to Kyiv after that, or Lviv, or anywhere else, like in a relatively normal city, and you're like, wow, civilization. It's like then you start appreciating the normal things again.
It's the contrast. Like when you live there, you don't realize. When you're there for a long period of time, you don't realize what's the contrast in between the other side.
And I think that's one thing also what I learned from the military. Like, he's really appreciating the normal things when you have the moments when you're so cold. Especially when we did the village clearing operation, and the first 2 nights, we go on a patrol. Then it's like, hey, your team is gonna stay here, do an observation post. We're like, yeah, but okay, that was not the task to stay overnight, because we didn't take sleeping bags, level 7 jackets. And I remember that night, it's like we have this outdoor post, and then we have the radio, and I'm freezing so much, and I'm thinking there with my NVGs on, looking into the night, seeing these small white particles here and there in the dark. And I'm just thinking, I should have stayed in fundraising. Like, I should have stayed in fundraising. Like, why did I do this? Why do I do this? But then, like, after that, you romanticize the moment. It wasn't that bad. I wasn't even cold. But in reality, I was so close to hypothermia, because I remember how cold I was on the surface. And inside my body, I feel like an oven is going on, like suddenly activating the heating. And I will never forgive the people that gave us that task. It was horrible. The cold is horrible.
Military romantics.
Yeah. But then when after that you go back to like on a vacation somewhere, or like and you live like in a normal apartment, you have a warm shower, you have electricity that works, you can actually change clothes, wear normal clothes, and then you start appreciating it so much. And you're like, it's sometimes you just need to suffer to understand how normal life is.
Something that's not just it's not just given. Yeah. If something's given, it's never appreciated.
Also in general, like when the urgency comes, because I was thinking about it the other day, when it comes like preparing for a mission, and there's the time before the mission when you think it's calm. It's like basically on any other like work day. So there is training, there are tasks that come from any direction you do them, but you have this regular pace. And then when the mission comes, there is this shit now. Like now everybody here, team leaders here. Okay, now this ammunition request. Okay, now transport for there, accommodation there. Get to the MRAP, then prepare drone packages. Prepare the water and the food.
Yeah.
Is there gonna be a ground drone? Is there gonna be a vampire drop? All of these things, and it's like then everything that you were like basically prepared for comes down to that, like the last 48 hours before a mission, or even that, and then it's like everything needs to be done smoothly. And I think that's like it's a persona test also, and then you don't have the luxury of just being like, I'll see later,
True.
We'll check later, maybe tomorrow, maybe I'll get the gas tomorrow.
It's
maybe
okay,
the guys can
somebody
do
else is gonna do it.
Yeah, maybe the guys on position don't need the MREs for today, or maybe they can wait until tomorrow. And that's sometimes when you have Starlink on position, and then you come from that mood when you're like, now, like, give me an answer. Is the ground drone coming or not? And like, we are out of food, we are out of water, and then it's like there's always, of course, a good excuse for like either the drones don't fly because of weather, or the ground drone gets FPV'd or something. But still, when you're in that mood and you're like running out of everything, you don't have Snickers bars left, and you're like, now tell me, like, what is going on? Is there gonna be a drone drop or not? And then they're like, everybody waiting for that moment at 9 o'clock. It's dark. The drone drop is coming. Your logistics sergeant put like MREs and water and maybe a couple of some candy or something in there. And
some motivational.
Everybody waits for it, like that moment. Like, yeah, it's gonna come in the evening, and everybody getting ready. And then you get the signal message like, ah, it's cancelled for tonight, the weather is too bad, and everybody are like, no, come on.
Yeah.
But then when it comes, it's the best day. It's the best moment, especially when you're sitting like in a dark cellar or dark position, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just you and the guys. And then at some point you notice you have talked already about everything, and there's like moments of silence, and then you start maybe writing or just like you know, think about random things, and then like the biggest events that happen there is like the drone drops. It's like you go out from the position to pick up a drop,
Mm.
a package, and you see sunlight for the first time like in 7 days or something, and you're like, whoa, it's like going to Narnia or something. It's amazing feeling. And in general, like this, how we do things here, where a lot of responsibility and is given to everybody to figure out things. But it's funny coming from like Finland and the conscription service, when it's like the whole Finnish defense forces basis on basically instructing people, like a defensive force which goal is to train much as people as possible into the reserve.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's like everything is
You build up a
structured.
bulk.
Yeah, everything is like a structure. You throw people inside.
It's
and
an old
then,
machine.
yeah.
It's been going for years, and they just keep doing it. And
Yeah,
that's
it's
it.
like just everything goes.
Mhm.
Clearly, you're there 6 months, 9 months, 12 months. Okay, 6 months this, and then you have NCO academy, and then okay, then you are team leader or platoon leader, and then you like lead that,
Mm-hmm.
and then then you train, and then you have all the military exercises, and then you go home, and it's just like everything is copy pasted every time to the next batch, to the next batch, to the next batch,
Yep.
and it works,
It's scheduled.
and they have time.
They do have time.
Here is the sense of urgency is here always completely different.
It's not just a sense of urgency. You're doing something while being under fire.
Mm.
So in a peacetime military, it's a lot easier for these processes to happen. It's literally a few guys sitting in the office thinking over this because they have time, they have to plan it.
Mm.
All right, they have a structure already built. They're just pushing people through the pipe. It's a pipeline if you look at it.
Mm.
People getting recruited, people getting out.
Mm.
The amount of people getting out should match the people coming in, and they're pushing the pipeline until they get to the other side of the pipe, and they're just getting replaced.
Mm.
It's a peacetime military.
Yeah, and here it's like
Here's
everything
not.
changes. It's like even the mission task, like okay, this place
Mhm.
where we're supposed to go, either we can go even further up, or then this is too dangerous to go there right now, so we go to another place, and then you prepare for one thing, and then it changes again, and then it's everything again.
Yep.
And then there it comes down to the persona also, like how can you tolerate the stress of like a quickly changing situation all the time, even like when you are on position, and then it's like you're supposed to do one thing, and like okay, we gotta go now and in this direction clear this place. Oh no, actually we're not gonna do that, we're gonna go in this direction. Oh, now a casualty was taken here, now we have to, everything changes, now it's all about securing the casualty. And then it's like people just constantly adapting to a quickly changing situation, and I think it's a very good test, like to see what is the result of your training.
Yeah, but like think in our situation, like none of the missions are the same.
Mm.
Nothing will. Every day is special because that day will never repeat itself.
Mm.
How do you cope with everyday changing situations? I think it's just being flexible, being malleable, learning, and the one mistake that we always do is not think ahead. We like, oh, we have a bad situation. Oh, let's fix it. Let's go do it. Work it out. But we never like, this can happen. Let's make it so it never happens.
Mm.
We're not that smart. We're not that smart.
Yeah, probably also some sense of optimism, or thinking like, "No, it will be fine."
Yeah, we've been in bad situations before. Nothing happened, you know. So
also like in two defensive positions.
it's where like running out of luck sometimes.
But it feels like luck many times
It does.
because on two positions that I was um, with my team, in both of the rotation, like we had nothing on the infield, nothing on the exfield, except like a wader drone that my team member shot. But we had like nothing there. But then the team that rotated us out, both times they got a casualty from FPV or mine, either one. And it's like that could have been us, but it wasn't. And then it like you're like everything went well, but then the exact same situation is with another team is in the exact same situation, but they just have a little bit more bad luck, and then it happens, and you're like, damn, that could have been me and my team.
Maybe you're being proactive. Maybe you get training not to step on mines. Maybe you got training listening to drones and shooting them down, and you don't get, to step on a mine or get killed.
Yeah, we did shooting down drones training. It was good. People realized how fast it is for real, and it's not
easy.
Not the easiest task.
Yeah.
There is this one guy in heavy weapons who shot like 7 or 8 FPVs, and he's skilled.
He's good.
He's good. But then also there's always there's the part you can train for, and then it's just the bad luck. If somebody's stepping on a mine, maybe it's darker, maybe it's under the mud, maybe you don't see it. I know myself, like how I always stare at the path that somebody already walked before, because I'm thinking about it all the time. I'm like, don't step on mines, don't step on mines, don't step on mines. I'm just following the path, and I'm like, I see somebody walked here before. I can walk here too. And then you see random objects somewhere next to a tree, and you're like, that's a mine. And then you see something else weird in the tree, like, not even gonna touch it or go close to it, because like I saw this meme. It's like there used to be IEDs, and now you have flying IEDs, and then like the drones drop all kinds of stuff. It looks weird. Also, they try to disguise it as drone drops, like
packages.
Yeah. And it's so easy to, like, in a moment when you're thirsty, hungry, tired, carrying your rucksack and your weapon system and whole protective equipment.
You get tired, complacent, and you want to do it.
For example, when we did an exfil in like February, and it was so cold, it was so slippery, ice everywhere, inside a tree line, like ice, the worst combination. And then I remember like sleeping all the time, and then there was a drone like going past us, around us. I was like, okay, I don't even care anymore. Like, I'm just gonna try to shoot it down if it comes for us. Like, it's too late already. I'm like trying, like, slippering in the ice at the same time. It's like that moment when oh my god. Like, but it didn't then try for us, and it just flew somewhere else. But those moments when you're like, I don't care anymore, like, try me.
Yeah, you get tired, you get complacent.
Yeah.
It's
and that's so bad.
Yeah.
But that's why you have to know yourself also so well, that like how your brain works, because you start to find excuses for that. It's okay. So, Frodo, how does it feel to be American? How does it feel to go from Marine Corps to Azov?
Honestly, I know, I'm an American citizen, but like if you go there, you're still like being asked like, oh, so you're from Eastern Europe, so you're Russians? Like, no, no. It's a weird feeling of being stuck in between. It's like it's not that they don't accept you or anything. You still have that background of being from somewhere else. It's like doesn't matter where you go unless you go home for where you like burn. Where you're burning in some other country, and that's where your home is.
Yeah, from the outside perspective, it always feels like Americans are like there's no like one clear Americanism. It's like just a bunch of people who live the American culture, and then they are Americans, but not like one ethnicity or something. And that's at least how it looks like to me.
Yeah, it's a melting pot of nationalities. Like through my service, I was always like in U.S. I was always looked at like as something special because I'm not like everyone else, I guess. Like, okay, because they speak multiple languages, and they're like, oh, like you're from there, but you're here. Like motives, how, when. It was a lot of people would just want to talk to me, like, how did you end up here? This is so cool because majority of like, I'm not saying a good majority, but a majority of Americans never travel. So then when they see a person from the outside, it's a curiosity. It's something weird. That's how I end up in there. Talking about my service with the U.S. Marine Corps I did one contract with the U.S. Marine Corps.
What is a contract length?
It depends for your occupation. So, like, if you go with the like an infantry job, it's a 4 years. If you go with aviation, it's 5. So my contract started in 16, ended in 20 for the aviation side. It was a weird because I signed an open contract. What is open contract? When you go in and you're told what you're gonna do, you don't know your occupation until you actually in and pass the boot camp. Simply because I was a foreigner. So when they give you the aptitude test, like you pass the aptitude test and they tell you, oh, you're smart, so you can have this job, this job, this job, this job. They lay down a bunch of job descriptions in front of you. So they tell you, pick, what do you want to do? And then I picked, and they're like, oh, you cannot have this. It's like, why? Because you're a foreigner. Like, it's security liability. Like, you cannot have a job that requires you to have a security clearance because you're a foreigner. So, like, if the job requires you to have access to movement of personnel, movement of, gear, equipment, this is secret information. You cannot have that job if you're not a citizen. So I signed an open contract, which literally you go to your basic training, and at the end of it, they will decide what job you can have. For me, I was lucky. I think I was lucky because I got an aviation job, which is high profile job for them because you have to be smart, I guess. Not really. You just have to have an aptitude for mechanics. And that's how I end up in aviation. I fixed big, ugly metal things that somehow fly in the sky. That was awesome.
Well, how does it look like? You have the boot camp.
Mm-hmm.
How are people chosen for the positions, or their the applicants, the boot camp applicants' requests taken into account? Is there like, what are the options that basically you have when you do the boot camp? After you finish it, like where you end up?
You already like the regular guys sign contracts before they go to boot camp. Like, you sign a contract that you're gonna be in infantry, or you're gonna be a mortarman, or you're gonna be a machine gunner before you go to boot camp. Like, you finish your basic training, which is a boot camp, and then you go to your specialized training. So if you're infantry, you go to infantry school, and then you take machine gunner, and then all that. For me, it was basic training, basic infantry, because everyone is an infantryman in Marine Corps, and then you go to your like specialization class, which for me was the Naval Aviation Institute. So you go, you finish that training, and then you go to fix aircrafts, flying things. It's just a longer training, I guess.
You miss it?
No. I actually do. I miss the guys.
But they can sign a contract here now too.
Technically, yes. But it's everybody's choice.
Because we were talking about this, like how much is Ukraine showed in the U.S. media now. So do you still like get from friends and everything, like do they ask like, hey, what's going on in Ukraine? I haven't heard about it in a long time.
I think it's a personal interest for them. Like, if somebody tracks the news on Ukraine, they do it by their own interest. Like, they follow it up. Like, I had conversations with like random guys and Discord people that like I used to know before I came to Ukraine, and they're like, is there still a war going in Ukraine? It's like, yeah, there is still a war going. I'm like, oh, what are you doing? I'm like, just talking to people.
Yeah, it's interesting also from the Finnish perspective how I noticed that one point still living in Finland where it's like everybody who were in 22 is so invested. They're like it's still there, and all the Finns know, we have the same neighbor. I'm from the generation that my grandmother and my grandfather were fighting in the wars, and then my grandmother is from occupied Karelia, and then there's a bunch of people like me. So it's like it's in the genes and it's in the culture, like everything about the Winter War continuation, Lapland War, and so on.
So they're aware of the bad wolf.
They are very well aware. And even we also have Russians living in Finland. We have Finnish Russians, like mix, and before also like a lot of people traveling to Russia. Between we had a train and everything, but still there was always like this. You know them, but you don't trust them, because why would you? Because everybody knows this. Like deep down, they know this.
Yeah.
And but still, everybody supports Ukraine. But also, I noticed this in Finland, where it's like obvious to support Ukraine, even when we have a high unemployment rate. Still, Finland supports Ukraine with military packages. They're the people who are like, oh yeah, actually, it's still going on, But they know it deep down, but they haven't like actively thought about it. It's just like part of the daily life about reading about it, and maybe they know somebody who went to fight, or
let's say it's the air that they are exposed to. So let's say a nation that is far away over the ocean, right, doesn't get that much air that of what's happening, right? They get everything that is being pushed through the media. So if media doesn't talk about, they're not going to pay attention to it. And if media brings something out like, oh, there is a cat that died in the middle of the street, they're going to know about the cat that died in the middle of the street. So it's like, when a dog goes to the park and it sees a squirrel, it goes and barks at it, right? And then he like sees another squirrel, it goes barks at a different tree. It's like attention that is being attracted to one direction to another. The dog doesn't think about that first squirrel that he barked at. He goes to the next one. That's what people that don't breathe that situational air that's happening here or see it overseas. It's just they're not involved in that ambience. How modern warfare is evolving. It's evolving faster than we can keep track of it.
Yeah.
Working with personnel, so
what do people not see from your work? The invisible work.
The invisible work is a lot of keeping track of, a lot of listening to what people say. So a good portion of my job is gathering information about what personnel is feeling, what personnel is concerned about, what problems personnel have, and either fixing it on the spot or bringing it to attention to the higher command. Like I have, because I was part of this battalion forming up, like I have a good group of people that I usually talk to, and they trust me, and this is like makes it easier for me. And I like to be approachable. I like to be easy to talk to. Like I don't like to punish people for doing, dumb stuff, but sometimes it's necessary. So let's say somebody is up for a promotion, and I'm the guy that goes and talks to the battalion sergeant. Hey, you're a battalion sergeant, you're kind of responsible for it. What do you think about this guy? Is he doing his job? Then he does his research on this person that it's in that position. Can he be promoted? What is his behavior? Has he been evolving in his professional side? And will motivate him to do a better job. And then the sergeant's side, this battalion sergeant does his job, I do my side. War, I hear, like I talk to random soldiers and I hear like small rumors. Oh, this was bad. This is something that was weird. And if I let myself influenced by by rumors, I'm not going to be objective about my decisions, what needs to be punished and what needs to be promoted. So I have to go and dig around it and find out, is it the problem or is just people talk?
Misunderstandings. Jumping to conclusions.
Let's say if there's smoke, there's fire. So the majority of the time when I talk to soldiers from like different companies, from different sides, if they tell me that there is a problem, there is a problem. It never was like just somebody, talking because he's breathing, just because he can. The majority of the time, the soldier is right. The soldier is right because he's the one that is boiling in that environment. He will not complain about nothing if there's no problem. But of course, there is conflict of interests, conflict of personalities. Somebody doesn't like you, right? So he's going to start complaining about it. He's going to say, I don't like Casper, I don't like Fixer because he's blonde and he's tall. And
his jokes are not funny.
His jokes are not funny. And like, yeah, this is a concern. It is a concern. Maybe I should go and tell Casper not to be so tall. Or I can go talk to Casper. Casper, why are you so tall? Is this a problem? Why are you being like this? The one funny thing that I always tell is I had an incident when I had to deal with a soldier that texted me directly and said, this guy stole my sleeping bag. And I'm like, is this guy from your company? Yes, it is. Are you going to confront him about him stealing your sleeping bag? Oh, no, I will not. Why? You are two grown-up men that came to a foreign country willing to fight, to go into the harm's way, and you're not willing to talk to each other. Like, sometimes I deal with stupid stuff like this, like just people not wanting to solve a problem where it appears. For personal like decisions, I don't want to get in a conflict with somebody. Can you talk to him? No, go talk to him. It's part of my job. I'll go talk to the person. It's not good to steal a sleeping bag. Can you give him the sleeping bag back? That is my sleeping bag. Sign your stuff. So I deal with a lot of like small things, and then I deal with bigger stuff. Example, medals, promotions. In the HQ, there's always a lot of stuff happening on the ground, right? And there's multiple names that pop up. This guy walked this many miles, got in position. He did a great job. He killed Russians. He captured Russians. He showed himself from a good side. He took leadership in a critical situation. He saved his brother's life. He did an effort. This is like my Peter tingles are popping. I write down names and I say like this person needs to go for this medal, and then we start pushing paperwork. I talk to the battalion commander. I tell him like this person deserves this medal. We're gonna put him up.
Considering we are International Battalion, we have guys coming from everywhere around the world. How do you see working with multiple different cultures, or like people that come from multiple different cultures? When I think about my country, it's so clear. Everybody knows who is the aggressor. There's no question about it. You don't even need to debate it.
Yeah.
Everybody supports. There's generational trauma in Finland too, from the same neighbor. But if there's like there's organizations that support Ukraine doing a great job, what I would mostly from international organizations that are somehow connected to Finland, that they would really go around Ukraine and see how things are here, and not only get the picture from Western Ukraine or from Kyiv. Like they have to go and feel the air, talk to the people, see how the guys are doing. Talk to the guys who came from mission who like they're stuck there. They're not like they're not able to go wherever around Ukraine whenever they want. So if you want to get the real picture, you have to go and talk to the guys. And if you're thinking about signing contract, military contract, think about it first. Like, is this for you? And either do it or don't. But I saw this one news about a guy who almost went to fight in Ukraine, and I started to think like, what kind of veteran status is like I almost fought a war? Like that doesn't exist. Like there's always, you can always have excuses. You can always have excuses about not going, but in the end, you go or you don't. Like excuses don't use them. Just be quiet instead.
I think it's more of a like, doesn't matter where in the world you are, and what nationality, what politics you follow, what beliefs you have, is what you think it's right. It's a personal thing of what's right and what's wrong. If you believe, when you stand by what you believe in, then you should make a decision when you're ready. It doesn't matter, like, it's been years of it, you've heard a lot of it, or you've heard less of it. It's what you stand for. Like, there's going to be people that are not, oh, it's far away. It's not for me. Why should I? Why they're not doing? Why I have to be? Why it has to be me? It depends what you believe in. It's like, it's simple. For me, it was easy to make the decision because that's what I believe in. Nobody should be allowed to be a bully. Nobody should be allowed to do what Russia has done to Ukraine. Everybody knew that it's bad, and like just pointed their fingers in it, and it was like this was the extent of their involvement in it. If you believe that is wrong and you are willing to do something, then just do it. Like, it's a personal decision. It's very personal decision because it's your health and
your life
at the stake.
I was working in a bank, and the salary was like, it was okay, not bad, not good. Like, it was the classic, like, you could go into the middle class at some point working there. The work environment was good, everything, but there was no purpose. And I was like, what is the point really here? Like, I'm working, but it can take me in one direction, but it's not the direction I want. But it's safe, and it's very easy to stay in that safe zone. It's a comfort zone.
It's very comfortable.
And then I was like, I'm gonna move to Ukraine. Like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna figure it out from there. And then I was supposed to continue just with the NGO work, unpaid labor, not so like you cannot really live on it. You live basically on other people's sofas and everything all the time when you're traveling. And then it's like, okay, it's time for the contract. And then it went from fundraising to military, to actual like combat service. And best decision I've ever made. But I know it's not for everybody either, and it should never like be held against anybody either.
No.
Our only thing is like when some people try to give you advice who are not doing the infantry or combat work itself, like that are not in your battalion or brigade or anything, but they're like far away, is sometimes like, please, like, come here, you can give us advice here. But like, yeah.
If you're willing to help our mission, if you're willing to directly help the guys that are on the ground, subscribe to STRUM, spread out the word.
If I would have to give one advice to myself when I started serving, would be don't worry about it. Like, just don't worry about it. I went from rifleman to grenadier to team leader to company sergeant, and that development is like, the more I learned on the way, I've been worrying about things that I shouldn't be worried about, and just go with the flow. right now, the advice I would give myself, everything will be okay.
If I'd have to give myself an advice back in 2022, I think it would be to take it easy. Sometimes just take a step back. Take a step back, look at it, see it from a different perspective. It just helps you understand what's going on around it. Sometimes you just get overwhelmed with everything that's going on in your life, and it makes a lot more sense when you see it from a different perspective. And make sure it's right what you're doing.